it's getting dark. Oh, I just lost my Christmas hat. Oh dear. Oh, la 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 la. Oh, Jack, what's up? It's so exciting. It's so exciting. It's so exciting.
Well, howdy there, Lammy. Wow, you've certainly decked out the place here. This is looking so good, so Christmassy.
I know. I'm so excited. This is going to be great. It's the Christmas season. Are you ready?
Whoa there, Lammy. I'm definitely excited. This is a great time of year filled of lights and fun and joy and laughter and all fun stuff. I know.
Don't forget the most important part.
What's that there, Lammy?
Presents! We get to get presents.
Well, yes, that's true there, Lammy. But, well, I mean, you just need to remember there's a little bit more to it all than just presents and all.
But it's so much fun, I know, right? There's cookies, and there's singing, and la 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 la, fa la 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 la.
Okay, whoa there. I can tell you are just one excited little lamb.
Oh yeah.
But, I'm just saying that...
Oh yeah, guess what? I can't wait to open presents. I hope I get all that I want. I made such a long list, and I really hope that I get everything I want. Do you think so? You think I will?
Well, now, Lammy. That word is a very good word to use.
What? Presents?
No. I meant hope. Hope is a great word to think about during this time.
Hope, yeah. I hope I get presents, right? That's what it means, right?
Well, it means a little bit more than that. I mean, it means hope is a really actually deep, big word for being such a small word. It means a lot.
Well, what do you mean? I mean, I just was like, I hope, I wish, I want.
Well, yeah, I know that's usually how we use that word, but really the word means a big idea. It means that we have hope, eternal hope in something that's so much bigger than us, hope that means everlasting joy, trust, relationship.
Wait a minute. You mean, the word hope is something so much bigger than just kind of hoping and wishing and wanting?
Well, I mean, we use it that way a lot, you're right, but hope really has that meaning. When we think about Christmas, we can think about hope that we have in Jesus. That's what the real important part I was trying to get at is all about.
Oh, yeah, Jack. I remember that. I mean, yeah, Jesus and all that. It just gets so exciting, and I get caught up in everything else that I sometimes just forget.
Well, yeah, it happens. We do get excited around this time of year, but let's not forget the big idea of hope. And you know what?
What?
I think that Mr. Pastor Andrew might have something to say about hope, not just about hope in eternal and with Jesus, but how it came to be.
How hope came to be?
Well, yeah. Hey, let's listen to Mr. Andrew. I think you have something to say.
Okay, let's do it.
Merry Christmas, guys! Isn't this exciting? I know what you're thinking. We just had the Thanksgiving holiday, right? And I hope you had a great time with family and had a lot of fun. But now it's December, and December is that wonderful time of year where we get to be excited and we look forward to that holiday called Christmas, and it brings us so much hope, right? Like little Lammy was talking about. She had a lot of hope, but for what? For presents, right? And that's a great part of this holiday season. Oh my goodness, I just love presents. But there is so much more. What are we going to be talking about today? For the next couple of weeks, we're going to be thinking about what is it about Christmas and what is the hope that we have in Christmas that we want to really focus on during this time of year. This word I like to use is called Advent. Advent is a word that means kind of anticipating and hoping and looking forward to something to come. And it all started with Jesus, right? And when we look back, we've talked about this many times before, but when we look back through the Old Testament and all the history that God had before Jesus came, we get to see that big story of God unfold with people coming, with things to come that always point ahead to Jesus. And in fact, Jesus himself, in the book of Matthew, we have what is called a genealogy. What? What does that word mean? Let's take a look. Jesus' genealogy, or family tree. That's simply saying, like you might have your parents and your grandparents, your great-grandparents, people in your family that you have actually come through. And then we have Jesus, and we're going to look at some of these people that came before Jesus that are in Jesus' family tree. Well, who did this start with? Well, we're going to start by looking at the man named Abraham. Now, who was Abraham? Abraham was that man that God chose out of one place and told him to go to another. And as he told him to leave his family and go and follow him, he gave him a big promise. That big promise came in the form of looking at stars. He said, look at the stars. Abraham, I am going to give you a family more numerous than the stars in the sky. Whoa, that is a huge promise, isn't it? Well, through Abraham came Isaac and Jacob had 12 sons. Now, one of the sons was named Joseph, and his story kind of went crazy. He was, his brothers betrayed him and sent him away to Egypt, but in the end, one of the other brothers, named Judah, received a second really big promise. It was through Judah that God was going to bring about a king, a wonderful, amazing king that was going to save the world and become this perfect, beautiful picture of someone who's going to save and redeem and bring hope to the world. Well, who is that? Well, before we get to that person, through Judah, then, we see this other person named Boaz. Now, this story of Boaz comes before the kings even come, and we see that we have this woman named Ruth. And Boaz marries Ruth, and that doesn't seem like it's all that important, right? Okay, a man marries a woman, but Ruth was not part of God's big family. She was from Moab. And so it was crazy for a man to marry a woman who is not a part of God's big family, but it actually is amazing because it's part of God's story and Jesus' genealogy. So this woman, Ruth, was the great-grandmother of that great king, David. Now, David is a man after God's own heart. He was someone who loved to worship God. He wrote so many things like psalms and stories and songs about God. But guess what? David here even sinned a couple times, many times. But when he was told about it, he didn't make excuses. He actually repented and was sorry for the sins that he committed. But guess what? Just like God gave a big promise to Abraham and a big promise to Judah, he's giving even a bigger promise to David. He tells David that there's going to be an eternal king who's going to come through him called the Messiah. That's the one that Judah kind of heard a little bit about, but David gets this amazing promise that it's going to be through David's family that a savior and a king called a Messiah was going to come. Well, they were filled with hope, right? This is exciting. This is great news. Well, after many years of ups and downs with many different kings who came and weren't so very obedient to God and things went bad, we finally have this man. It's called a prophet. His name is Isaiah. And Isaiah the prophet had a wonderful thing. He gave these what we think of as prophecies or thinks about the hope that they have for the future. And the things that Isaiah looked at were Jesus, his birth, the glorious death and resurrection, and even the eternal hope that we have in Jesus. Yet he didn't know necessarily that this was who this was. He just knew that through God, through his story, through his people, God was going to deliver a huge promise. Isn't that awesome? Well, Isaiah wrote this one amazing verse back in Isaiah, and then in Matthew, it's repeated when Jesus' genealogy was being discussed and the hope of Jesus coming. It says this, it's about a woman called a virgin, a young lady will conceive and give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel. Say that word, Emmanuel. One more time. Right, Emmanuel. What does that mean? Well, it's actually in the verse itself. It means God with us. Now, the funny thing is, way back even with Abraham and all through the Old Testament, God wanted to be with his people. But it was a different kind of relationship because they weren't really seeing God because God was spirit. And he was there, he was present, he was among them, but it was still very distant and not quite like being close in sense of being a friend. But along finally comes this verse in Isaiah to point ahead to say that there's going to be a day when God is going to really be with us. And we're going to call this son Emmanuel. And guess what? When Jesus comes, when the angel comes to Mary and Joseph to talk about the hope of having this baby, and they call him Emmanuel, God with us, there's the hope. There's the hope. And so we have a wonderful chance during Christmas to think about what it means to have the hope. In fact, I want you to remember this word, hope. That is what we want to think about as we think about Christmas. For the next couple weeks, we're going to be looking at different stories and different words. And one of the big words, though, that I want to leave you with today is the word hope. It is not just about hoping for presents and thinking and wishing and getting excited. It's much, much more than that. In fact, all throughout the scripture, we see the hope of one to come. God with us, who is going to come to save us, to bring joy and to bring peace into the world. And we can now look back and say, hope has come. And we get to have hope for what's yet to come. That we know Jesus and he loves us and he died for us. That is the hope. That is what Christmas is all about. That should get us even more excited than the hope that we have about presents and the fun that's yet to come in this holiday season. So I want you to make sure that you come back next week and hear more about what this hope is all about in Jesus Christ. I can't wait to see you next week.